What's going on, Neon Nation? Welcome back to the Neon Arcade for some Cyberpunk 2077 news and details. Today we're talking about a big promotion internally which may impact Cyberpunk 2077's development, Game Informer's new video and article regarding the origins of PROJEKT Red, some forum answers to some questions like ESRB ratings, mod support, and if the Max Tack and Mantis Blade Cyberpsycho from the teaser trailer will be present in the story. We also have some details about Cyberpunk Red, which is a new tabletop iteration of Mike Pondsmith's Cyberpunk universe and will bridge the gap between Cyberpunk 2020 and 2077. As we do with all of our news segments, we're going to highlight some Cyberpunk 2077 art and design work. First, we have CDPR Red and Cyberpunk 2077 tweeting out this picture of a Cyberpsycho from the teaser trailer slicing into a traditional treat called a Paczki. Paczki are akin to donuts in Poland, and it looks like the staff at CDPR are indulging in what they call Fat Thursday. Next, we have an awesome 3D print of Jackie's VTEC Quadra supercar via Cranium. Shout out to them for allowing me to use their footage, and the process behind it is quite cool. I wouldn't be mad if something like this came in a high-tiered or collector's edition of Cyberpunk 2077. Next, we have this amazing cosplay by Zaeta. It features an augmented couple, highlighting some really awesome cybernetics, and the augmented jaw really stands out on the girl. This is part of their Cyberpunk 2077 series, and they also have individual pictures if you want a male or female version of it. We also have a Yennefer Cyberpunk crossover cosplay featuring Dante Hex. It seems like cosplayers are constantly stepping it up, and although the CDPR staff is against any Witcher cameos in the game, it's cool to see what an augmented sorceress would actually look like. Finally, we have a neat little Meredith Stout design by Luxifer. I know a lot of you guys really like the corporate aspect of the game and are digging this specific corpo, so here's something to quench your thirst for alpha females. First up in our news segment is regarding CDPR Red and an internal promotion which is not only promising for Cyberpunk 2077 but also the studio as a whole. Konrad Tomaszkiewicz has assumed the role of creative director for 2077 according to his LinkedIn profile after former creative director Sebastian Stepien left his position at CDPR last month for a new one at Blizzard. Not only did Konrad receive a promotion for the creative direction of Cyberpunk 2077, but he also claimed the position of vice president of the studio. Now, for those who are wondering, this isn't necessarily good or bad news. When Sebastian left, it was largely speculated that the creative direction was solidified and that those were hints that the game was moving along nicely. This news could mean that they just needed a replacement and Konrad was next up to bat, or that they're going to take a slightly different approach to some creative elements. It's hard to say based on how little we actually know about the game, but CDPR has stated Sebastian's departure will have no adverse effects on the development of the game. Now, if you guys don't know, creative directors are generally in charge of the overall vision, the gameplay, the visual style, as well as story elements, cinematics, and marketing materials. Considering Konrad was a creative director for The Witcher 3, I'd say we're in good hands. This could also be CDPR Red future-proofing their staff for the inevitable Cyberpunk games we will see in the future. Next, we have some forum posts and answers by CDPR Red's community manager, which gives us some insight into the world of Cyberpunk 2077 and some interesting questions fans have been asking over at cyberpunk.net. First question we have is in regards to the Cyberpsycho and Max Tack agent we see in the teaser trailer. For those who want a refresher, the Mantis Blade woman in the trailer is a Cyberpsycho who's gone on a rampage, and a special ops team designed for hunting down these Cyberpsychos, the Max Tack team, is sent in with the police to kill her. Now, the question asked on the forums is if these characters will be in the full release of Cyberpunk 2077. Now, CDPR Red's community manager jumped in to answer this one, where she says we most likely won't be seeing these characters in the game, although Max Tack will have its presence in Cyberpunk 2077. She says we'll see them here and there with the winky emoji, which might actually give us some insight that the Max Tack division will have a big role in the world of Night City. We do see something similar in the gameplay demo, and although I think the aesthetic of the hologram is of Trauma Team, I can see the Max Tack squad dispatching of a Cyberpsycho or someone tweaked on too many combat drugs in a very similar way. A FOV slider is also mentioned, but like many answers we've gotten up until this moment, they can't speak on that. Next, we have a really good question and something we've talked a lot about in the past with censorship and how 2077 will be rated. This particular forum goer says, "I love that the Witcher series was a fully mature game, but I know Witcher 3 had to change some sex scenes to appeal more to the M rating. With Witcher 3 being more mainstream, what is the aim of Cyberpunk 2077 when it comes to ratings?" We get an answer here that it's safe to assume that they will aim for an M or PEGI 18 rating. This is kind of what we were predicting, and I hope they can balance this approach with not nerfing too much of the boisterous content that the cyberpunk genre is known for. I think it's safe to assume that the world is a bit more dark than The Witcher 3, so if they had to cool down the sex scenes in that game, I hope they're a bit more bold here, but only time will tell. Next we have a question regarding mod support. It seems when it comes to mod support, CD Projekt Red is well aware that the community would love it and that they will keep it in mind, but for later. This almost confirms that it won't be coming out at release, but it might be implemented post-launch, maybe even around the same time as their multiplayer releases. Next we have a question regarding female versus male voice lines. It seems like there will be subtle differences, and we know that some characters will treat you differently if you're a male versus a female. This gives a little bit more diversity when it comes to male versus female playthroughs. Finally, we have a brief little tidbit regarding the world. The European Council, which is effectively the EU in 2077, shares a common currency with the US and Canada in the Eurodollar. This is the currency used in Night City and is referred to as eddies a lot of the time. Next we have hints that a marketing campaign is starting to ramp up again. In the last couple days, we've seen some new articles from Game Informer and a new video from PlayStation highlighting CD Projekt Red's history and some talks about The Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk 2077. In fact, the PlayStation one is narrated by Geralt, so if you want to hear Geralt say Cyberpunk 2077, you'll want to check that one out. Regardless, it seems like Cyberpunk 2077 is starting to get back into the limelight again, starting with content about the history of CD Projekt Red. We could be seeing more articles and videos highlighting its past, present, and hopefully future with Cyberpunk 2077 in the next coming weeks, so keep your ears and eyes open. In Game Informer's article, it also highlights how much Poland loves Cyberpunk and dark games in general because Poland is a relatively bleak environment and that Poles gravitate towards that dark aesthetic. Game developer Techland's founder even mentions that he couldn't find someone around his age who didn't like Neuroshima, Cyberpunk 2020, and Blade Runner. Cyberpunk seems to run in the veins of the Polish. Techland has made famous free-running zombie game Dying Light, and Poland has become quite a hotbed for AAA games, so I hope the trend continues, and for my Pole friends out there in game development, keep up the good work. Finally, we have some details about the time period between Cyberpunk 2020 and 2077 in a Cyberpunk Red beta game test session. Cyberpunk Red could potentially teach us a lot about what the world will look like in 2077 based on where the world stands going into it. Let's take a look at some of the highlights from the beta test, which took place a decade after the Fourth Corporate War, where much of global infrastructure is destroyed. First, we have the world. It isn't a post-apocalyptic wasteland, although global shipping has ceased to exist after the Fourth Corporate War. Ground transport is a main way of getting supplies around and is very dangerous due to gangs. Governments and economies still exist, and tech is relatively expensive, based largely on these shipping issues. Famous netrunner Rashay Bartmoss cracked the net, and whilst Netwatch tried to repair it, they eventually had to replace it with a new net. Corporations dominate more isolated areas, but they still dominate. After a nuke brought down Arasaka Towers, a radioactive combat zone was created. The population of Night City has declined due to people fleeing the city. New corporations are starting to make an appearance. In terms of characters, solos are still cybered up soldiers who are quick and agile, medias are still frontline journalists seeking the truth, and nomads are more important now due to their area effect being ground transport routes. Before we end, I'd like to mention that we've recently created a Neon Nation Discord, so if you guys want a place to chill out and chat Cyberpunk 2077, I'll have a link in the pinned comment for you guys to join. We have roles for members including netrunners, rocker boys, corporates, solos, techies, and a variety of different channels from cyberpunk music to memes and art. Come join the conversation and connect with me and other Neon Nationers. Thanks for watching guys, and for everything and anything Cyberpunk 2077, join Neon Nation by subscribing.